We've got more news on the Michigan Wolverines cheating scandal.
Michigan and Jim Harbaugh are always in the news, so we're back on the Big Mountain to keep you updated.
Hey, it's great to have you here on the Big Mountain. I'm JY. This is my good friend Steve. We've done a few episodes on Michigan, and it just seems like almost every day something else is coming out. Steve, fill us in. What is happening?
So a lot of things happened this week, okay? So I'm going to take us back real quick to last week.
Okay.
The Big Ten announced that they were suspending Jim Harbaugh 3 weeks. We've already talked about that on a previous episode. We had Harbaugh, we had the Michigan Regents, we had the president of the university, and we had all these Michigan men stand up and beat their chest and say they were going to fight this till the bitter end.
Right.
We had people boycotting and threatening to leave the Big Ten and all this. But at the end of the day, Michigan, they didn't get their stay or their temporary restraining order. So Coach Harbaugh was not on the sidelines for the Penn State game. Right. Michigan won anyways. They're still, just a very, very, very good team.
Yep.
They got some other good coaches. They won anyways without them. And everything turned to this week. The focus was then they were going to have a hearing this Friday on that restraining order to see if they could throw out that Big Ten. And you had all these Michigan people claiming, we just want due process. We want the whole investigation to play out.
Right.
We want all the steps and no punishment until the very end. Once everything has come out, we want our due process.
Which means after the college football playoffs.
Exactly.
That's exactly what that means.
Exactly. But. So, yes, I think you're exactly right. So, all right. So that's how we went into this week. We're going through the week. We're marching through. Everyone's excited about this Friday hearing.
Yeah.
What's going to come out? Are we going to get discovery of evidence and all this stuff, whatever? And so we get to yesterday morning on November 16th, okay? So as we're filming, this was yesterday morning, and suddenly Michigan releases a statement. And I'm just going to read it. I don't usually read stuff on here, but I'm going to do that this time.
Yeah.
So this is the statement for Michigan, November 16th. It says, this morning, the university, Coach Harbaugh, and the Big Ten resolved their pending litigation. The conference agreed to close its investigation, and the university and Coach Harbaugh agreed to accept the 3-game suspension. Coach Harbaugh, with the university's support, decided to accept his sanction and to return the focus to our student athletes and their performance on the field. So if you notice, a lot of the wording was very key in this. Yeah. And I'm going to read the Big Ten statement, and maybe we can talk about the differences in the statement.
Okay.
But first I want to say it's pretty clear here, Michigan caved, okay? Michigan and Harbaugh caved.
Yes.
As they got closer to an actual hearing where they have to make legal arguments and maybe have to provide evidence.
Yeah.
They completely caved, but they presented it in their statement as, oh, well, us in the Big Ten, we came to an agreement.
Right.
Well, yeah, their agreement was, okay, yes, Daddy, I'm going to accept my punishment, and I'm not going to fight it anymore.
Right.
So that's their agreement. So let's go to the Big Ten's statement, which, again, I felt them caving like that and totally doing a 180 was really funny compared to the week before where they're beating their chest and say, we're going to fight this forever, even if we have to leave the Big Ten.
Absolutely.
The richest conference in the land.
That is a very quick 180,
yes,
given their original posturing, for sure. And I did see that statement. I have not seen the Big Ten statement, so I'm interested here.
So I'm going to read that. So the Big Ten Conference, maybe an hour or so later, releases their statement yesterday on the 16th. And this is what it says. I'm going to read it verbatim because there is some interesting differences in the two statements.
Okay.
The Big Ten Conference's commitment to student athletes, sportsmanship, and the commissioner's duty to protect the integrity of competition will never waver. That's what he says. Today's decision by the University of Michigan. So he right away they're clarifying this wasn't a joint decision. Right. This was Michigan's decision.
Right.
So today's decision by the University of Michigan to withdraw its legal challenge against the conference's November 10th notice of disciplinary action is indicative of the high standards and values that the conference and the university seek to uphold. The University of Michigan is a valued member of the Big Ten Conference, and the conference will continue to work cooperatively with the university and the NCAA during this process.
Okay.
So I think it was a smart statement by them. They basically let everybody know this was not a settlement or an agreement.
Right.
Michigan backed down. We're going to give them credit. We're going to let the world know we want them to stay. Now that they've accepted their punishment, we want them to stay, and we're going to continue to let the NCAA, we're going to cooperate with the NCAA.
Well, it's not a settlement when you just accept the punishment that you're given. There's nothing about a settlement there. Right. It's just, we give up, we'll accept what you did.
Right. And so it's very interesting, the two statements, and how Michigan tried to kind of save face on this.
A little spin there.
Yeah, a little bit of spin. So in and of itself, pretty big news. Okay, Harbaugh at this point. So as we ended the day yesterday, kind of recap where we're at. Michigan's accepted their punishment, so Harbaugh was not going to be on the sidelines for the final 3 games of the regular season. But he would think hopefully he would be for a potential playoff game, whatever, still be on the sidelines to go for that national championship. Which I think that, like you mentioned, that's Michigan's goal. They're trying to play this out so they can get in that college football playoff and hopefully win a national championship before the hammer comes down.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to move on from those statements, and we're going to go to this morning.
Okay.
So this morning. Now, before this Michigan statement comes out this morning, this is Friday. We're Friday morning as we record.
Yep.
There's all this buzz and this a lot of buzz and a lot of reports started to come out on Twitter. And we usually try not to just deal with the rumor mill and the buzz, but it does give context. I'm gonna talk about it just briefly because it gives context to their statement. So a lot of buzz started to hit the airwaves that the NCAA and the Big Ten had presented some evidence to Michigan that maybe they were going to use at the court case of more detailed evidence of wrongdoing at Michigan by their coaches. And there were multiple reports, different guys from Yahoo and CBS and Fox that are respected college football insiders, that once Michigan saw this information and what they had on them, they completely changed their approach and their legal strategy to what they were going to do. So they haven't come out and said that, but there is reporting that Michigan had an aha moment when some evidence was presented to them.
An aha, or was it more of a Scooby-Doo? Ruh-roh.
Probably a little both.
Ruh-roh.
Yes, I think a little bit of both.
I got to get Scooby-Doo in an episode.
Yes.
Okay.
So
take you off your game.
No,
there.
it's all
Sorry,
good.
Steve.
It's all good. So that's the context, and Michigan releases this bombshell statement today. So far, directly involved, we've only had the one firing, the Connor Stallions.
Correct. Right.
There was a couple other firings that nobody's really sure. There was some things that maybe are tangentially related to this investigation, but we'll say direct firings really have only been Connor Stallions. Although I think he resigned basically when they let him know they were going to fire him.
Yes.
So that's the only casualty so far was the guy who was actually doing it. Whatever.
Right.
So today, Michigan, from the University of Michigan Athletic Director Ward Emanuel, released the following statement. Effective today, Chris Partridge, who's the linebackers coach at Michigan, he was there before, he left, and he came back. He's real good buddies with Stallions. Whatever. So effective today, Chris Partridge has been relieved of his duties as a member of the Michigan football staff, and Rick Minter will serve as the team's linebacker coach. So the very brief statement, didn't really get into it as to why. And again, there is a lot of reporting on here that the reason why, and actually I think some people have leaked the memo or the statement that Michigan gave to Chris Partridge. And it basically says the reason he's being relieved is because he didn't cooperate with the investigation. He tried to hinder the investigation. And the reporting is that he possibly deleted or destroyed computer evidence, including messages, text messages, something to that extent, while the investigation was going on.
Yeah.
Which doesn't look good.
No.
So, again, this maybe isn't, okay, if it's a linebackers coach, this really hasn't connected to Harbaugh yet, but we're just doing these little steps. At first it was, this is a lone guy, a lone wolf, has no connection. Now, there's also some further reporting that one of their most influential boosters, we'll call him a booster. His nickname is Uncle T.
Ooh.
Yes, that he was the one who was funding the money that paid for Stallions for his pictures, his trips, sending people out and all that. And now, again, the Michigan men, they never lack for confidence. And, this is not a big deal either. This guy, he's just, everybody has boosters. Well, not only is this guy just a booster, a guy who likes to give money, he is actually on the board of directors or board of trustees not for the university, but for their official University of Michigan football athletic NIL entity. Okay. So this isn't just like this is Michigan, the university and the football program. I said, these are the guys. These are good guys. We are associated with them. We are paired for them. These are guys you can trust to help support the Michigan program. He's on this board.
Okay.
If it's the guy that they're reporting, that's who it is.
Right. Okay.
So, again, not a direct connection to Jim Harbaugh, and I think that's what the Michigan fans are holding their hat on. Oh, well, it's not connected and tied to Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Yes, you're right, but drip, 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 we get closer and closer and closer. And here's the thing. When the Big Ten suspended him, they didn't say, hey, it's because you knew about this.
Right.
They specifically said, you are the head coach of this program.
Correct.
You are responsible for everything that goes on.
Yep.
So I have no idea why these Michigan fans are hanging their hat on, oh, well, it's not tied to Harbaugh yet.
Right.
We've seen this in many different places. Lack of NCAA, lack of institutional control. When you're the head coach, you are responsible for what goes on in your program. So if he didn't know, the guy who's standing next to him, his linebacker coach is destroying evidence. The guy who's standing next to him is stealing signs. He's got his picture taken with this booster, and he's telling Michigan fans, you can trust this guy.
Right.
He's associated with us. He's paying for all this to happen.
Yeah.
If Harbaugh doesn't know about this, I think that's a worse indictment than if he did know about it.
Sure.
So
yeah.
I'm going to kind of leave it there.
Okay.
This was just a quick update to give our viewers an update on what's going on this week, but I'm interested to see if you have any thoughts.
Yeah, I got two thoughts, real quick. Thought number one, a lone wolf is one thing. This is now a wolf pack.
Yes.
A wolf pack of two.
Yeah. Or a Wolverine pack, maybe.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good call. Okay, so a Wolverine pack of two, and it is highly likely going to continue to grow. A lone wolf is one thing.
Yeah.
Okay, and I think everybody kind of called bunk on that to begin with, but okay, lone wolf, one guy off on his own doing his own thing, maybe. We got a Wolverine pack. How big is this Wolverine pack? I think the onion has only just begun to be peeled back.
Absolutely.
So that's number one. Number two, to get back to your point about Harbaugh, we talked about this in the first episode we did of Michigan and Harbaugh's culpability in this.
Yes.
It is completely irrelevant if he knew or didn't know. And again, to get back to your point, I mean, that's what a lot of the Michigan fans, the boosters, everybody that's on the Michigan side wants to say. Harbaugh didn't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He is the head. The bylaws were changed the beginning of this year to state that the head coach is fully culpable of anything that goes on in his program.
Right.
So if you want to see that episode, you can go check it out. But we laid that out a good bit in terms of what changed and why he is culpable. So that is just, we've had some other ones where you say they just try to deflect and they try to bring up. That's all that is. It's pure deflection. They just try to bring other stuff in. It's irrelevant. He is totally culpable.
We talked about in another episode the 5 stages of grief, and the Michigan fans are clearly in the anger and denial phase.
Yes.
We'll see if they progress through the other phases. But yeah, I would call it, another word is copium. They're just shooting themselves in the arm with copium, trying to deal with it. And I think every Michigan fan, at least that I see commenting, and not just fans, we're talking about former players, people associated with the programs. They're grasping at straws. They feel like this is their best team, and they feel like everybody's out to get them. All this is just fake news.
Yeah. People
are trying to get out to get them, and they feel like if they could just grasp one argument, they'll win, and their team will win, and everyone will say, "Yay, Michigan, you're great. You were innocent the whole time." And it's just not going to happen. It's just.
Well, the last thing I'll say is I think it's good that in order for them to move on, I mean, this was in the best interest of the university and the football program right now. Just accept it. Don't keep this hanging out there as a what if, maybe, he'll be back, he won't be. Just accept it and move on. Plan for this moving forward. Again, the first couple days, pure anger, pure, just denial.
Yes.
That's what it was. Whether it's coming to your senses, seeing more of the of what the NCAA and Big Ten in terms of what they have to show a court, their evidence here, it's all of that combined. I think move on for the good of your program right now. Like accept it. It's not done, but accept it for now and try to get past this for them as quick as they can. The bomb is going to. I mean, the bomb hasn't even exploded yet, in my opinion. We lit the fuse,
and we're running away,
and people are running away, and the Michigan peeps are still standing beside us saying that fuse isn't lit.
Yeah,
it's gonna blow up big time. It's just a matter of when. We don't know when.
So before we end this, I did want to clarify one point. There's been this thing about, the Big Ten is doing its investigation, and Michigan keeps saying, the Big Ten ended their investigation. The Big Ten has no capacity to do an investigation. They have no investigators. They have not hired any investigators. They were not going at this at the route of investigation the entire time. They were cooperating with the NCAA's investigation, and the NCAA was giving them information, which they've said all along. And again, with this, giving them the information, kind of preliminary information showing. So the whole idea of the Big Ten doing an investigation, it was never happening. It was not going on. This is an NCAA investigation. And the punishment from the Big Ten was for Jim Harbaugh. It was about the sportsmanship.
Yes.
About, obviously there's something going on. You have this guy, he's doing this, and it's about the integrity of the game, the integrity of competition within the Big Ten. Michigan has now accepted that, and we'll see what happens with the NCAA, which is the slowest organization probably in the country, maybe behind Congress. I don't know. We'll see. So that's all I got.
Yeah, that's a great point, a great distinction to end us with, that the investigation is at the NCAA level. So that's a really good point to end us with. So, hey, with that, we thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time on The Big Mountain.